Hedgehog, hello. Today we're doing another one of our ToolTurial videos for you. So today we're going to be looking at heat embossing just with embossing powder. If you're looking for the heat emboss, it's in a separate video, which if you're watching this live will be in a couple of weeks, or you might be able to check it out on the channel. And what I'm going to do is show you what you need, as in you can't live without, and what is really advisable to get the best results. So I've laid everything out here except for my heat tool, which is on the side. So that's your heat tool. You need one of those, and you need to be very careful when you've used it. It's incredibly hot, so I tend to keep it on one of the Stampin' Up silicone mats. You could keep it on a heat mat out your kitchen. Just be careful not to leave it on something that, you know, it might melt or worst case catch fire. So that's just a word of warning. So of course you'll need some stamps, and this is my block for my stamps. You will need a Versamark pad because this is your glue. You'll of course need your embossing powder, and this is the new copper one, which is absolutely fab. I'm already on my second bottle. And you will need some cardstock. Now, some things I would advise you to have is, first of all, the embossing buddy. The embossing buddy removes static. The embossing powder will stick to any static on your paper. Whereas if I just wipe my paper over, it's actually full of, very similar to flour, from what I understand. A bit like when you put flour, icing sugar on some pastry or your cakes for your fondant. And it will remove any particles on there that the embossing powder would stick to. So that's a really advisable thing. That's in the Stampin' Up catalogue. And I also keep to hand a paintbrush, and I will show you why. And this is one I purely use for embossing. It doesn't get used for anything else. So I'm going to pick, what should we pick today? I think we will go for, let's do a copper flamingo. So we'll stick my flamingo down. Looks like it might have a bit of pink ink left on it, but we'll see. I'm going to ink it up. Now, there are lots of other things you can do with Versamark, but we'll cover those in another video. Okay, it's slightly pink, don't worry. We're going to cover it with our embossing powder. So the next thing you want to do is take your embossing powder, and you can be quite liberal. And you want to cover your design. Now, there's lots of different ways to do that. I find just tipping it over works fine for me. And I'm going to grab a piece of scrap cardstock. I am then going to tip that down. So most of my powder has gone. But if you turn it over and just give it a couple of flicks, you'll find, if you see there, the detail in the wings has just come back. So that's a really great thing to do. And then I'm just going to tip the excess back into my pot, and I'm going to put the lid on before I knock it over. So, what was the paintbrush for? Well, you might find there's the odd little speck. I can see a few bits and pieces of embossing powder that I just want to get rid of. And that just keeps my cardstock nice and clean. And I will show you something else you'll use it for quite often in a moment. Now, this is your heat tool. It's got a stand, so you can stand it on your desk like that to keep the hot end up. But as I say, I do suggest you put something underneath it as well. And it has two different heat settings, so it is quite noisy. That's heat setting 1, and that's heat setting 2, so you can tell they're different speeds. We're going to use heat setting 2, and I'm going to bring this quite close up to the camera, and we're going to heat it. And you want to probably be, I don't know, 2 inches away, I suppose I am. It is incredibly hot, so be careful not to burn yourself. I know you can't use a hairdryer, and no, the toaster doesn't work particularly well either. And you can probably just see to the right, just here, that the powdery effect you can see now is turning shimmery as the embossing powder melts, and we end up with a nice pink copper flamingo. And we can't see any of that pink underneath that we stamped earlier, so that's lovely. And you don't need to heat it too long. You'll see as soon as it turns. Make sure you've done all the areas, particularly if you've got a detailed stamp. I'm just going to choose a different one for a second. I'm going to take the hello. And if you keep heating it, it will remelt. Don't touch it straight away. It will be incredibly hot. It's like touching hot jam. I can tell you that by mistake. Now, what I'm going to do on purpose, and I know it sometimes happens to us all by accident, we ink the edge of the stamp that we don't want to stamp down, and I'm going to actually do this. We're not going to work for me now. Sometimes we'll ink a stamp and we get this little edge. Let me pop some powder on it and you'll see what I mean. These ones obviously haven't been cleaned very well. sort that out later. Okay, so let's put our lid back on. I am the queen of accident prone. So sometimes by accident we all get these little edges. Now with your paintbrush you can brush those away, and that's great if you're not cutting out the stamp. And I'll do the same again just so you can see the heat change. So we're going from very powdery, you can see the shimmer on my flamingo, and now you're going to see the shimmer arrive on my hello, and you can see it going. So we're on the right hand side at the minute. If you can't quite see it, follow it over to the left, we're about in the middle, and it's going to keep going. Burning my finger. And there we are, so that's our hello done. Now I don't know if I can keep heating it long enough because I haven't got a heat surface down. Be careful what you've got underneath you. I have burnt things before. I'm going to keep heating it. There we go. So this is what happens if you heat it too long. So if you have it, I'll hold this right up, hopefully you can see. If you have a look in the middle of my hello, it's lost its shimmer. I've burnt it, and that's what happens when you heat it. There we go, I think you can see now. That's what happens when you heat it for too long. So you just do it as soon as it turns, move on to the next section, and then you'll have a lovely stamped image like that. So I hope you've enjoyed our ToolTurial today. And don't forget to check out the blog post. It's on the right, or it might be underneath you. You might need to click an arrow just down here in the bottom right. And we hope to see you over on the blog. Or you can type in our address at www.hedgehoghollow.co.uk, and I hope you'll join us for another ToolTurial soon. See you again. Bye.